Welcome to the first installment of Councilwoman's Corner. Let me start by saying what an honor it has been to serve you for the past 2 months. Let me also thank Mayor Coyne for implementing my husband's idea of regular video web chats. Although I don't think that my husband, Eugene, a staunch supporter of the mayor, had ever expected him to take personal shots at me. That being said, I think we can all agree that there's a lot of work to be done. I am proud to say that I have rolled up my sleeves and have been working hard since November. Healthy debate equals good government. Healthy debate is not meant to be mean-spirited. Healthy debate is meant to create fresh ideas to bring to the table. Healthy debate is not meant to be disrespectful. Healthy debate is meant to help Brook Park maintain its community values. Walking the streets and talking to the voters last summer and fall, I got a lot of feedback from the people who I now serve. One of the things that stuck out was the fact that, like my own family, people are going through tough economic times. They simply do not know if their budgets allow for an additional tax. As you know, I voted for the tax increase as a resident 2 years ago. I, like every Brook Park resident, would love to see the city's infrastructure rebuilt. But like every household in our city, I would imagine we must do more with less. What residents want to see is evidence that the administration can move the city forward before they decide to further tighten their belts. The administration has made many cuts to direct service. One area we have not examined is salary structure in place for administrative positions. City Council just received the budget on February 21st from the administration. The time has now come for all political jousting to stop. The elections are over and the voters have spoken. We must now turn our attention to what we were elected to do, and that is to serve the residents and ensure the future of Brook Park for generations to come. Council has oversight on all budget items, including expenditures. That is healthy government. In the past, we have sharpened our pencils and were able to increase the city's revenues without raising taxes and placing the burden on the taxpayer. Because of this, expenditures have gone down. More money can possibly be put into capital improvements because of this. The residents that I spoke with would like to see shared sacrifice and wage reductions from administrative staff and elected officials. This is not personal, and everyone employed by the city, I'm sure, is worth their pay. As my grandfather would say, if we have a beer budget, we may not be able to support our champagne taste. We must all live within our budget. Given that we are still recovering from a rough economic period in our country's history, and many of us are still recovering, our city is no different. Going to the voters for more money should always be a last resort. The answer is not always go to the taxpayers. As public leaders, we need to exhaust every possibility prior to going to the taxpayers. In good conscience, I cannot ask voters for more money until we have looked over all expenditures with a fine-tooth comb. As you know, I have personal understanding of the economic struggles that Brook Park families are dealing with. We simply cannot accept the public to assume additional economic burden. As public officials, we must show progress and work with what we have before we ask the voters to invest more money into the city with their hard-earned wages. The agenda I have set as your council at large representative is I will work to bring back a sense of community spirit and pride. I know that we can get past our differences so that we can make sure Brook Park is a better community for generations to come. I am currently working on several pieces of legislation. I introduced my first piece of legislation last week, and it passed under suspension of the rules. The legislation dealt with acknowledging the will of the voter. I felt it was important to do this because many of you, when I went door to door, felt that your voice and vote was not being heard. Unfortunately, I just found out in the past few hours that Mayor Coyne vetoed that legislation, so I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go right now. It may be brought forward again for a vote, but we'll have to see where that goes. The second piece of legislation I plan to co-sponsor with fellow Council at Large Representative Carl Bergio. That bill honors wounded veterans with legislation to create dedicated Purple Heart parking spaces outside of municipal buildings and facilities. With our deep military roots and history, I think the community will embrace this far and wide. I am also working on legislation to establish a safe zone outside of the police department for completing Craigslist trades, custody exchanges, and other issues which may need video surveillance to ensure a safe environment. Small steps to make Brook Park remind us of how great Brook Park is, and to win the public's trust that we are serving their needs is the best way forward. I am also very excited to announce that I plan on having open office hours on Saturday mornings twice a month. Over coffee and donuts, I will meet with residents to discuss their needs and their ideas and to get them to know them on an individual basis. Dialogue with the residents is essential in terms of representing them, and I plan to do just that. I cannot wait to greet them in my offices in the coming weeks. We can make sure that Brook Park grows and remains the working man's Beverly Hills. We must allow this community to heal rather than to continue the trend to polarize. Those of us who are public officials, public servants, commission and board members, as well as others who assumed a public civic role, need to avoid the personal attacks on each other. Thank you for viewing, and please stop by the council office every first and third Saturday morning of each month and grab a cup of coffee and a donut. See you next time on the Councilwoman's Corner.